Conor McGregor has got rid of USADA. Yep, you heard it. The Irishman withdrew from the USADA testing pool to heal from a broken tibia he suffered against Dustin Poirier at UFC 264 in 2021. Earlier this year, he coached the Ultimate Fighter 31 opposite Michael Chandler, hoping to make his return to the cage by the end of 2023. That obviously won't happen, since McGregor needed 6 months of regular testing by USADA to be eligible to compete. The Irishman re-entered the USADA testing pool earlier this week, but the comments made by the UFC brass about the anti-doping agency's stubbornness regarding the McGregor saga rubbed USADA bigwigs the wrong way. As a result, USADA will no longer work with the UFC starting January 1st, 2024. Here is the snippet of USADA's statement, quote, "As of January 1st, 2024, USADA will no longer be involved with the UFC anti-doping program. The relationship between USADA and UFC became untenable given the statements made by UFC leaders and others questioning USADA's principled stance that McGregor not be allowed to fight without being in the testing pool for at least 6 months. One UFC commentator echoed this, recently declaring that USADA should not oversee the UFC program since we held firm to the 6-month rule involving McGregor. And since we do not allow fighters without an approved medical basis to use performance-enhancing drugs like experimental unapproved peptides or testosterone for healing or injuries simply to get back in the octagon. What do you guys think? Will Alexander Volkanovski shock the world on 11 days' notice when he steps up to face Islam Makhachev at UFC 294? Makhachev, who was originally scheduled to face Charles Oliveira, will now be facing Volkanovski because the Brazilian pulled out of the fight after suffering a gruesome cut over his eye. Interestingly, Makhachev most recently defended his lightweight title against Volkanovski at UFC 284, where he won by a very thin margin. Many, including Joe Rogan, think Volk should have won. But now that the Aussie has a second chance to right the wrongs, will he become a champ in enemy territory? Ilia Topuria, who was supposed to fight Volk for the featherweight title soon, had an interesting take on the situation. Quote, "Alex, best of luck. Get that second title so I can knock you out in January and become a double champ." Michael Bisping is stoked. Quote, "Massive respect to Alex Volkanovski for stepping up on super short notice against Islam. Respect to Islam Makhachev also for accepting a dangerous stylistic change. What a story, and what a sport." Dana White explained how things unfolded.
Yes, all of that is true. Round 5 of sparring last night before, he's supposed to jump on a plane today. Splits his eyebrow wide open and had it stitched up last night. Obviously, can't fly out there with that. You know what I mean? It would be one thing too if they didn't call us. We would have had him go to a plastic surgeon that would have sewed it from the inside out. Get that thing done the right way. These guys never call us like they should when something happens. They call us after they get it stitched up. But on the flip side too, I could see him not wanting to risk it, getting a shot like this, and then that the Volkanovski crew. I mean, him and Israel. These guys are just absolute studs, man. He jumps in and he accepts the fight.
A last-minute change in opponent means Makhachev will have to shift his strategy slightly, given Oliveira and Volkanovski are completely different in how they approach their fights. Volk is way more technical and explosive with an exceptional takedown defense, but Team Makhachev, especially Khabib, isn't too worried about it. Before we find out what they have to say, please take a moment to subscribe to Takedown MMA and turn on those notifications. Thank you. Islam Makhachev is oozing with confidence heading into his fight against Alexander Volkanovski, despite the fact that the Aussie was very close to putting him away the first time they fought. The difference this time around is that Volkanovski will only have 10 days to prepare, so in case he loses, Makhachev doesn't want to hear any excuses. Quote, "Respect for taking this fight on short notice, Alex, but don't use it as an excuse after the fight." Even Khabib doesn't seem worried. He thinks Islam is the champion, and he ought to fight anybody the UFC puts in front of him, even King Kong.
Islam is a world champion right now. If somebody can make 155 and UFC say this guy is a contender, who cares? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter who.
Doesn't matter who, doesn't
Rather,
matter where.
if King Kong can make 155, okay, bring this guy here. Doesn't matter.
Smash him too.
Volk, Charles, like Poirier or Justin, like, doesn't matter, bro. Like, it's supposed to be Charles, okay. He pull out, but we already beat him and we don't care about this. But if they want Volk again, first fight it was very good, very competitive fight, but we know and they team know we win. Unanimous decision. It was not even split decision. It was unanimous decision. Yes, Volk was looking good on that fight, but he lose. And he knows, his team know, and all world know he lose. Okay, they wanna bring him again. Okay, bring. We're here. Islam almost on weight, on point. He's ready to go. We have 5 more hard days for training, and we're ready for Abu Dhabi. Inshallah, let's go.
Will Alexander Volkanovski pull off a major upset come fight night? And is he a better stylistic matchup for Makhachev than Oliveira? Let us know your predictions in the comments. Now, Islam Makhachev isn't the only fighter getting a new opponent at UFC 294. The originally scheduled UFC 294 co-main event between Khamzat Chimaev and Paulo Costa is also off, with Costa pulling out after he had to go under the knife due to an infection. Costa issued a brief statement on Twitter saying that he'll need more surgeries to fix the issue. Quote, "This message goes to my fans. Unfortunately, I am hospitalized and had to do a second surgery yesterday. According to doctors, a third surgery will be necessary on Friday, so I will not be medically cleared to fight on October 21st. The Abu Dhabi card is still amazing. I'm not happy, but that's it. I will be back before the end of 2023. Costa will be replaced by former UFC welterweight champion Kamaru Usman.
The number 4 welterweight in the world, Khamzat Chimaev, is moving up the middleweight, and he will face the number 1 welterweight in the world, Kamaru Usman. So, number 1 versus number 4 at middleweight, Usman versus Chimaev. I will see you in Abu Dhabi.
UFC 294 just got a whole lot better, didn't it? That's what the fans think, and I quote, "Chimaev versus Usman is an amazing fight. I'm more excited about that than I was for the Costa fight. Let's see how Khamzat's wrestling matches up with Kamaru's. Or will this wrestler versus wrestler fight turn into a stand-up battle? This will be great either way." Another one said, quote, "Rare that top of a card gets shaken like this and comes out arguably better." What do you guys think? Moving on, Conor McGregor has blamed the UFC for his lengthy layoff. On Tuesday, McGregor took to Twitter and announced that he has re-entered the USADA testing pool, which was mandatory for him to make a return to fighting. The Irishman last fought in the summer of 2021 when he broke his tibia against Dustin Poirier at UFC 264. Since then, he has been playing cat and mouse with the UFC. The Notorious even announced his retirement at one point. But now that everything seems to be back on track, McGregor has revealed the reason why he stayed on the sidelines for so long. The reason is the UFC's politics.
My retirements were political, right? There was political shadiness going on in the background that I was like, good luck to you guys. I'm out, I'm out of here. But Katie, it's tough to walk away for sure. How can I speak on this when I don't know how? I'm never going to walk away. I'm simply going to recalibrate my competition.
If all goes well, McGregor will return to the cage against Michael Chandler, who has been waiting patiently for his red panty night. Will the two stars fight at the blockbuster UFC 300? It is possible, according to Daniel Cormier.
I believe that at this point, he's a marquee attraction that when he's there, he warrants the biggest fights in the world. Meaning, UFC 300 does fit the bill. But that also lends you to ask this question. Does Conor McGregor at UFC 300 main event? Because generally when you do a UFC 300 or 100 or 200, there are a number of title fights on that card. Does Conor McGregor top all those title fights in headline? And how do you, if he doesn't, how do you have a conversation with Conor about him not being in the headlining chair, headlining seat, when most of the people that will tune in will be watching Conor? But if you watch Conor's latest fights, he has been on a bit of a downturn. He has not won many fights, but I think that speaks.
McGregor returning to fight at UFC 300 is very likely, but considering that there will be a number of title fights on the card, should the Irishman take the main event spot, especially when his fight will be a non-title one? Michael Chandler thinks a fight with McGregor is certainly main event material.
I do think Conor and I are main event material. Do I think it's going to be UFC 300? I don't know. Do I think we're worthy of that? I don't know. Do I know what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone 6 months from now? No, I don't. So either way, it's a big fight, man. People have, every single time Conor has tweeted, every single time Conor has teased that he's coming back, every single time they watch The Ultimate Fighter, every single time they see me out here training, keeping my nose to the grindstone, knowing that Conor is up against one of the toughest tests he's had in his entire career, if not the toughest test, especially coming off of a 2-year layoff. This fight has all the makings of fireworks. This fight has all the makings of main event milestone material, so we'll see.
What do you guys think? Moving on, Aljamain Sterling thinks Marlon Vera would beat Sean O'Malley again in a potential rematch. Vera is the only person to have beaten O'Malley. The two battled at UFC 252, where Chito won by a TKO. Now that O'Malley is the division's champion, and Vera one of the top contenders, there isn't a better time for a rematch between the two. Should the two lock horns in the near future, Sterling thinks Vera will likely beat O'Malley again, and here's why.
There's a good chance that Chito can actually beat Sean O'Malley, and I know people are saying this is an easy win, but this is how deep the division is. I'm saying right now, I'm predicting an upset. I'm predicting an upset that
Chito beats Sean.
That Chito's gonna beat Sean again. Okay. If you watch the first fight with them, Sean does the same thing. He throws one-off shots. Chito was just walking him down, and eventually he threw the one kick. Okay, let's erase the kick. We saw what happened when he hit the ground. The leg has nothing to do with him defending punches and elbows from his back. I would imagine that the fan base would agree with that, right? But on the feet, people are saying he's too slow, he's too hittable, he starts too slow. O'Malley's not a knockout artist. He hasn't knocked out Petr Yan. They're gonna say, oh, he knocked you out. Guys, he did not. Oh, he flat. Come on, let's be real. I ran into the shot the same way I did with Marlon Moraes.
Do you agree with Aljamain Sterling? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. To stay up to date with the latest happenings in the world of mixed martial arts, please subscribe to Takedown MMA and turn on those notifications. Thank you for your continued love and support, and we'll see you in the next one.